And welcome to the show this morning. The Back Nine Boys Golf Show is brought to you each week by CPOMS. Check out becoming a member at cpoms.com, by Mizuno Golf, Reach Beyond, by Club Car, the leader in golf utility and fun personal vehicles, by Bridgestone Golf, try their new Tour B golf balls, and by RSM, proud sponsor of the RSM Classic, giving back to our community. On the show, we're going to with the CEO of Global Golf Post, good friend Jim Nugent, on Phil Mickelson's week in the media, and his sponsorship loss keeps growing. I want to find out really what Jim thinks about what's next for him besides hiding. Claude Pope, founder of apparel line Baldhead Blues, will talk about his time as a caddy at Cypress Point out in California and his clothing brand. And then John Claffey of Tour Edge Golf will tell us about their new line of clubs and the recent great success they've had on the Champions Tour. But up first, Jim Nugent, Global Golf Post. Good morning, Jim, and thank you for being with us this morning.
Rich, thanks for having me on today.
Well, obviously, we're going to talk about the big news out there, the big quicksand step that Phil Mickelson has got himself into. That's the big news this week on the PGA Tour.
I wasn't aware of that. Is Phil playing somewhere? I miss a memo?
Great point. Your thoughts about what's happening with him?
Oh, it's a mess, Rich, and you only are going to allow me a couple of minutes here when we need probably the full hour. But it's a really unfortunate situation that Phil has played himself into. He aligned himself very, very closely with the Saudi Arabia effort to compete with the PGA Tour, and then the Saudis discovered that that Phil was playing them in order to effectively stage a coup d'état of the PGA Tour to effectively take it down, and used some extremely colorful language in describing the Saudi Arabias on a podcast that was released more than a week ago now. And result, it's got all of his sponsors fleeing in the last couple of days. He's lost Workday, he's lost KPMG, he's lost Amstel Light. And last night, late in the evening, he had his arrangement with Callaway, which was a lifetime arrangement, paused in quotation marks. And so Phil's in a very, very bad place right now. And it's unfortunate because however you feel about Phil Mickelson, he's a great champion. He's a World Golf Hall of Fame member. You don't want to see him end his career the way that it appears to be unfolding right now in front of all of us in a very public nature.
Yeah, obviously all of this, Jim, we know, a lot of other people know, this will really affect his legacy.
It unfortunately is going to define his legacy. And one thing that I was thinking about last night, there's been a lot of parallels drawn between he and Tiger Woods and Tiger's indiscretions of some 12 or 13 years ago. But there's a really critical difference here. Tiger was a relatively young man at that point in time and was able to play his way out of it. He came back from his issues and played a lot of good golf. He won the Masters. And you know, we're a forgiving society, and if you ask for forgiveness, you'll have it granted to you,
right,
for the most part, if you're sincere and genuine in America. And Tiger, for the most part, did, and then he worked his way back. And as I said, he won the Masters. Phil Mickelson's 51 years old.
Yeah,
there's no Masters in sight for him. He's not going to be able to use his playing field, the golf course, to redeem himself. And therefore, this looks like it's going to tar him for the rest of his life and be how we remember Phil Mickelson. And that's very different than the Tiger Woods situation.
Yeah, and I there's a lot of speculation out there, but I've heard more than I've not heard other things, that he's in trouble and needs money. Is gambling an issue in this? Have you heard anything about that?
Well, we'll never know, but certainly that's being whispered in every corner. He has a history there. He's not denied it. And so there are a lot of people whispering about the need to raise cash because he owes gambling debts.
Right.
One, I don't think we'll ever know
right.
whether or not a part of this situation. But if it is, it's not going to surprise anyone.
No, not at all, because he's been in that situation before when he first started his relation with Callaway. One of the things that I've thought of, the PGA golfers are all contract employees. Can the PGA Tour not allow players to play if they don't want to because they're contract employees? Can they do that? Because that's one of the issues that Greg Norman is kind of saying. You can't do what you say you want to do.
Well, that's a completely separate issue from this, but it is because of Mickelson and his involvement with the Saudis, not unrelated. The PGA Tour players are independent contractors. They are free to play when they want, where they want, as often as they want. And Norman is saying that because they are independent contractors, they cannot legally be stopped by the PGA Tour from playing in this new league that Saudi Arabia is proposing to start. But the position of the PGA Tour is if you align yourselves with that league, you are therefore putting your PGA Tour membership at risk, and you can and may well be banned for life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not trained in the law, and therefore I'm not going to opine too terribly much on this. But
right.
there are two very different interpretations of what the law says about independent contractors.
Yeah, and Norman has said this week, this is not the end of the battle. I mean, he's always had a battle with the PGA Tour ever since Tim Fincham.
Well, this is a 30-year war that Greg Norman has restarted with the PGA Tour going back to 1994 when he attempted to start a competitive circuit, a competitive tour to the PGA Tour, and was roundly and rather quickly defeated by Tim Fincham in the PGA Tour, and he's never gotten over that, not once.
Yeah, right.
And so now he's back with the Saudis, trying once again to start a rival circuit. And the difference is this time he's got real money backing him. Back in the day in 1994, all he had was some rumored support from Fox Television. He's got Saudi Arabia money, and that's real money, and there's a lot of it.
Yeah, it's endless. PGA Commissioner Monahan has said to the players, make a decision. Where do you want to go, us or them?
And most have chosen at this point in time to align themselves with the PGA Tour. You have to keep in mind here that there is an existing golf ecosystem, and in the way the game is structured today, that ecosystem includes not just the PGA Tour, but the DP World Tour, the USGA because of the US Open, and Augusta National because of the Masters. And you just cannot discount the import and the role that the Masters will play in this. There are a lot of people who feel that Dustin Johnson's decision at the last minute last week to not go to Saudi Arabia was impacted by the fact that he is a past champion of the Masters and that he did not want to put at risk his future appearance at Augusta National each April.
And do you think that will be on Phil's mind? What do you think Augusta National's going to do with Phil being a past champion?
Yeah. I think that this year both sides are going to say that Phil has decided to not participate at the Masters in 2022. I don't think you're going to see the words suspension or anything like that. I think that they'll both try and take the highway. You know, Phil has said he's taking a break for the game. I think that break will include the Masters, which is just a matter of weeks away. I don't think Phil wants to be a distraction to the Masters. I don't think the Masters wants Phil to be around and be a distraction to their tournament. I think that he just doesn't show up that week.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Do you think, Jim, at this point, that the Saudi tour is dead in the water, or are they just kind of on life support?
No, I don't think they're dead in the water by any stretch of the imagination. They were dealt a setback. They had no idea. They learned at the same time you and I did last weekend during the tournament in Los Angeles. They learned that they'd lost Bryson DeChambeau. They learned that they'd lost Dustin Johnson. I think that came as a shocking body blow to them.
Yeah.
But if you have a lot of money, and they do, money buys patience, and they're not necessarily focused on this year or next year. I think they're focused on the longer term. I don't think we've heard the last of them by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know that Greg Norman's going to be involved with them forever, but I think that the Saudis are serious about golf, and they're going to figure it out in some form or fashion.
Yeah. Well, Jim, you're right. We could have talked about this for a lot more. Appreciate your comments. Thanks for getting up with us this morning.
Rich, thanks for having me on. Cheers.
Always a pleasure. Jim Nugent, his comments about Phil Mickelson. Will he be at the Masters? Jim doesn't think so. I don't think so. We'll have to see. So we'll be back on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show with Claude Pope from Bald Head Blues. But first, there are no blues when you're playing Mizuno Golf because they've got the best irons in the game. New series 922, 923, some new woods, fairway woods, rescue clubs, and a brand new lineup of putters. Check out everything you can about Mizuno because it'll help your short game, your long game, and see what's new at MizunoGolf.com. Check it out. Nothing feels like Mizuno. Reach beyond. And welcome back. And obviously, y'all have heard that Zach has been named the 2023 Ryder Cup captain. Couldn't be more prouder of somebody here from locally being named Ryder Cup captain. Of course, Davis was as well, but congratulations to Zach for that. How do you start a clothing line in a very competitive field? Well, several years ago, Claude Pope, founder of Bald Head Blues, he knows how to do it. And we're going to find out more about that. Good morning, Claude, and welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me this morning.
It is always a pleasure. You're in one of my favorite spots, Bald Head. I mean, it's just a great place to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually been really busy this off season because we've had good weather the past 2 months, and it's nice being on an island.
Yes, it is. It has its pluses, more pluses than minuses, let's just say. All right, let's go back to the beginning. What gave you the idea of starting a clothing line in this very competitive golf apparel business?
Well, I had a passion for clothing. I was always involved in golf. I knew that I loved Bald Head Island because I grew up going there. It had a really cool and compelling story, and I thought that was important to tell. I think the story of the brand is one of the most important aspects of our company. And Bald Head is a golf cart only island, so I wanted to, you know, tell that story through an apparel line. And I opened a retail store there first. People really responded well to the golf cart surfboard logo. That gave me more confidence to kind of reach out to golf courses and resorts and other kind of corporate business and, offer my services to do apparel for them. So, we've got about 400 accounts that buy from us, and that's everywhere from, Myopia Hunt Club up in Massachusetts all the way down to, Shadow Oaks in Naples, Florida, and Mauna Kea in Hawaii. And people who like to golf, people who like to go to the beach, those are our best customers.
Yeah, and I saw you at the PGA show, and every time I tried to come by and say, hey, we could say, hey, but you were busy. So the PGA show was really good for you.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think there was a lot of big brands that didn't come because they were, thinking, oh, it's not going to be that great, or, maybe they were having their own supply chain issues. But we've been kind of air freighting all of our product in from Peru, and I've been keeping my supply chain full. So we've actually picked up a lot of business this year because of other brands not being able to fulfill orders. So we've kind of picked up where they left off. And going to the PGA show, that's the biggest networking event in golf. So I wasn't going to not go because some people thought it wasn't going to be good. And when I got there, every buyer that I talked to was ready to write orders and ready to get business done because they had kind of their own challenges last year. And, I thought it was a great show for us.
Well, that's good. So what's new in the line for this year coming up, Claude?
So I actually redeveloped our swimwear this year. So, we did a polyester spandex blended fabric, and then I know it's kind of on trend right now, but we put compression shorts underneath the swim trunks. So, traditionally we'd had kind of like a mesh liner inside, and, I kept seeing other brands doing it, and I heard my customers asking for it. So we redeveloped our swimwear line. So I've got 9 new swim trunks, all with the compression shorts underneath it. And I've been wearing the samples, and it's way more comfortable than the mesh liner. So that's something new. We're doing a hybrid puffer jacket with kind of puffer chest and hybrid sleeves. That's new. I've got a really nice, like Gore-Tex style rain jacket that we've done. It's windproof, waterproof. So that's new in the collection. And, we always do new hats every season, new t-shirts every season, new polo designs. But, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just kind of finding new things that you like. And, when you own the company, you get to make those decisions. And, I basically build our collection around stuff that I like to wear.
Well, obviously it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the new colors? I know each year, blue is no longer blue anymore. It's azul or Carolina blue or whatever. But what are some of the new colors that we should be looking for spring, summer?
Yeah, so the Pantone color of the year is lavender, which is, we actually do have a bunch of lavender in our collection this year. And that was, I like lavender, and it just kind of happened to fall on the year that Pantone picked the color lavender. But colors all have really funny names. And when you shop color, you go through a Pantone catalog, and, there's probably 10,000 colors. But like our navy, for example, is called medieval blue. So, you know, it has like kind of a sexy ring to it. Our kind of royal blue is called Regatta Blue. We've actually used Regatta Blue. We've kind of trademarked it with our logo. So our logo color is Regatta Blue. You know, coral is not coral, it's sugar coral, you know. So
right.
I think it's funny. And, you know, if you look at our SKU names, they're all associated with the Pantone colors that they correspond to.
Yeah. And also, when I was by your booth, I saw that you had some hoodies, and those have become really popular. Not the real heavy ones, but the thin fabric hoodies have been popular.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I was a little bit ahead of the curve on the hoodies. I've been doing hoodies for 6 years. Pima cotton hoodies from Peru, super soft, really thin, really stretchy. I'm actually wearing a hoodie right now. Hoodies are great. I mean, we sold a lot of hoodies to golf courses. I think people like, you know, Justin Thomas have really kind of made it popular on the PGA Tour. But yeah, I mean, we sell hoodies because it's a good crossover piece. You can wear a hoodie with jeans, you can wear a hoodie over, you know, swim trunks, you can wear a hoodie to play golf in, you can wear a hoodie, you know, with a ball cap going out, you know, out and about during the day. So I think it's just a versatile piece, and it's you know, it's an alternative to a quarter zip.
So give us your website so our listeners can look and see what you've got in the new blue colors, that, you know, Regatta Blue,
Yeah.
so our listeners can go to it.
Yeah, the website is baldheadblues.com. The Instagram handle's at baldheadblues. And, you know, if any of your, you know, listeners want to use my personal friends and family code, it's friends20. That'll get you 20% off online. If you're listening today, use friends20, and that'll get you a good little discount, and it comes with free shipping.
Oh, awesome. That's always great. All right. You work with PGA pros, and Ben Coles is one of the players that you have partnered with. Great guy. How do you select the players that you want to represent your brand? Do you need to get to know them?
It's kind of a combination. Again, networking, going to the PGA show, meeting sports agents. All the agents for the big name guys go to the PGA show. So they're there meeting new brands, looking for new product. I mean, it's their job to find product for their players and to get some of those deals done. So it certainly happens at the PGA show, but for Ben, he's from Raleigh. I live in Raleigh, you know, when I'm not on Bald Head, but Ben's just a high character guy. And I wanted to associate my brand with high character people. And, you know, he's literally the nicest person you'll ever meet, and a heck of a golfer. And, you know, he grew up in this area. And so we kind of have an affinity towards each other for, you know, just being friends and, you know, wanting to support each other. So that's kind of how I came across Ben. We sponsor Robert Allenby on the Champions Tour. And I met Robert on Bald Head Island when he was 46, kind of towards the end of his PGA career. He was taking a couple summers off before he hit the Champions Tour, and I got paired up with him on the golf course, and friends of friends said, "Hey, you need to play with this guy." And of course, Robert's won 6 times in the PGA Tour, and, you know, played in a ton of President's Cups and Masters. So, you know, I wanted to hang out with him, and he's a hilarious guy. I mean, he's from Australia. He's witty and funny and smart, and, you know, a good golfer. And, you know, so I just kind of networked with Robert, and got a couple guys on the Corn Ferry Tour this year also. Patrick Newcomb, who just won the APGA event out at Torrey Pines a few weeks ago. That was on Golf Channel. He and I met up at Mid Pines and Pine Needles down in Pinehurst a few years ago. So, you know, it's networking, it's playing high level golf. I mean, I'm not a pro, but I can play with pros and not embarrass myself. And, you know, meeting and just trying to find those guys. It's you know, it's kind of like minor league baseball when you're looking at the Corn Ferry events. You know, who can I find that's got the potential to get to the PGA Tour, but's not on the PGA Tour yet, and then you can sign them to a 2 or 3 year deal, and then hopefully they play onto the PGA Tour, and you've got them for a year or two. You know, that's not a stupid high expensive contract.
Yeah, you got that. Well, the last time I think you and I talked when we were on the air, you had Robert with you, and or at a different location, but he was on the show with you, and just a great guy. You're right, great sense of humor, and you're totally right on spot as far as Ben Coles is concerned. Just a great kid with some great talent, and represented your brand really well.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, but he went to UVA. He's really smart. He's very motivated too. He works out. You know, he's part of the fitness program on the PGA Tour. Those guys are they're really pushing each other every day to get better.
All right, let's talk about something that you did prior to Bald Head Blues. You caddied on probably one of the most prestigious, beautiful golf courses in the country, Cypress Point.
Yep.
How did that happen for you?
Well, Cypress is just, I mean, it is unbelievable how cool that place is, and how lucky I feel that I got even that privilege to work there. So the backstory with Cypress is, I caddied a bunch of different places, the Kiowa Ocean Course, the Vineyard Golf Club, and then I ended up at Maidstone Club in East Hampton for a couple summers with all my New York City buddies doing a share house. And anyway, so I befriended a Cypress Point member at Maidstone Club and kind of built a relationship with him over the course of a summer and carried his bag. And at the end of the summer, I just kind of had the balls to ask him. I was like, hey, do you think you could call the head pro at Cypress and give me a recommendation for working out there? And he was more than happy to. And he knew that I was, again, a high character individual and would be a good addition to their caddy staff. And I'm a good golfer, and I think that he liked working with me. And so he basically called Casey at Cypress. Casey's the head pro, and said, hey, I got a guy that would be great. And at the time I was 26 or 27, and so I had nothing to lose, and basically left the east end of Long Island at the end of the summer, drove 3,000 miles across the country, all the way through the middle of the country, played golf along the way in Chicago and Cleveland and Colorado, and finally made my way to San Francisco, played a couple of rounds out at Olympic and San Francisco Golf Club, and drove down to Pebble Beach and pulled up to the parking lot for the very first time. And the first couple of days I was in the caddy yard, everyone's kind of feeling you out and talking to you. And there's a bunch of old timers there too. There's a bunch of guys that are in their like 50s, 60s, 70s that have been there forever. And they basically sat me down my first day and they handed me a copy of The Match, which anybody out there has not read it, it is an incredible read.
It is.
It's the story of two amateurs versus two pros. And, it's all happened at Cypress Point. And, it's very vivid descriptions of every single hole in that book. And, I read The Match, and it was my first day in the caddy yard at Cypress was reading that book and really getting the visualization of the course. And then you do a few practice loops with some of the veteran guys. And the cool thing at Cypress is they don't allow rangefinders. So you get an old school yardage book. Every sprinkler head, none of them are marked with yardage. So you've got to kind of learn this yardage book too as you go. It's kind of like every sprinkler head's 20 yards apart, and they're all marked to the front edge of the green. So you got to start remembering, that's the 158, that's the 138, that's the 118 front edge. And then you've got to memorize a front, middle, back flag location. Is it +8, +14, plus 22? And so, after about 5 or 6 months, you've basically memorized every single sprinkler head on the entire course to the front edge number, and then all the front, middle, back flag locations. So when you're caddying for people out there, they're blown away because you just walk up to the ball and you're like, oh, it's 114 front edge, it's 122 flag, it's a little uphill, play at 126.
Right.
And they're like, how do you know that? And you're not pulling out a rangefinder.
Yeah.
And they hit their 126 club and they're pin high, and they're like, man, that's so cool. So you actually build more rapport with your players because they really have to trust you out at Cypress Point, and you have to be good on your numbers. I mean, you can't get to the 118 and say it's a 128. And then they fly it 10 yards long. And you're like both sitting there scratching your head, being like, what just happened there? No, you gotta memorize that yardage book, and it's really fun caddying out there because you just kind of blow people's minds with, giving them really good information, and they're all juiced up and excited to be at Cypress. It's just a fun place, and you get so many different kind of microclimates on that golf course. The first couple holes are right on the ocean. It could be 55 degrees and foggy and cold, and by the time you get up to the fourth or fifth hole, you're up into the Del Monte Forest, and it's 70 degrees and sunny and hot, and you're peeling layers off and sweating. You get back down to the ocean again, and it's blowing 40, and it's a really cool place. I mean, you don't find that anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, you're right. Claude, thank you for sharing that story. I've not heard it in that way before. It's a great story. Good luck with Bald Head Blues, and talk soon, okay?
Rich, thank you so much for having me.
All right, Claude Pope with Baldhead Blues. Check it out at baldheadblues.com. After the break, we're going to talk with Tour Edge's John Claffey right after this on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
This is Carter Collins, head men's golf coach at Georgia Southern University, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. What a year already for Tour Edge Golf. John Claffey is with us. John, welcome to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Hey, my friend. Thanks for having me.
It is great to hear from you. Sorry we didn't see you at the PGA show, but I'm sure we will next year. One of the questions I want to ask you before we get all your success that you've had, did you miss going to the PGA show?
Oh, sure. It's an annual rite in the golf industry, if you will, and in my old stomping grounds of Orlando. So I lived down there for 5 years, and
it's always great to see everybody in our little industry, which is kind of a big family.
Yeah. Are you, I'm going to put you on the spot. You going back next year?
It's still in the wind. It was very hard to make a decision this year,
I'll
and
bet.
we ended up not going due to just, you really have to have all that stuff planned out by the end of August
Right.
in order
Right.
to really have it all nailed down in time. And, obviously with so much uncertainty with public safety and all that going on, it was kind of an easy call. And we saw that the show was back, which was great. But yeah, we haven't gotten back into the cycle of talking about next year yet. So, I would hope that we are.
Yeah, I would as well. Well, Tour Edge has already had a successful 2022. Tell us about all the success that you've had so far on the Champions Tour.
Yeah, this has just all kind of been a few years in the making, Rich. We kind of stuck our flag out in the Champions Tour in 2018 and said, this is going to be our tour. This is kind of a more even playing field for Tour Edge, where there's not 14 club contracts and, just crazy competition out on the big tour these days for trying to find a little small space for a club in a bag. So this was a little bit more, open, if you would. And so we went out there and instantly got a dozen guys playing our fairways and our hybrids when we first went out there. And since then, we've had 135 different players out on that tour put us into play.
Wow.
And so it's been over 2,400 clubs. It's a big deal. And not only that, but we've had over 35 guys choose to put our driver into play without being paid whatsoever. So that just happened last season alone, where we had this huge breakthrough with our drivers. Then those kind of numbers never could have happened on the PGA Tour. It's just not mathematically possible.
Right.
The way that contracts and sponsorships work out there. So this has been the perfect tour for us. Obviously, we signed the great Bernhard Langer last year to our staff, and this year we've added Mike Weir and Alex Cheka, who was a two-time major winner last year on the Champions. And so they join a legendary staff: Tom Lehman and Duffy Waldorf, Tim Petrovic, Ken Duke, and Scott McCarron. So we've just got, our stable now figured out. But these are the guys that we use to kind of hang our hat on and do our messaging and our commercials with. But again, we kind of have this old school vision of how to treat the tour, and we have to earn every little place into the bag through performance alone.
Sure.
It's not really about forcing a club in play because we signed a guy. We still have to make sure that it works for them, or they, have the freedom to play whatever works best. So to have the numbers that we're having out there is a true testament to how good our equipment really is.
What is the most? I'm sorry, John.
Obviously, Bernhard Langer winning in the second event this year. We had a 1-2 finish with Bernhard Langer winning and Tim Petrovic, our longtime staff player, in second place. So that was great to see.
How did it come about with Bernhard? I mean, he's been around a long time. He's had a lot of success on both tours, two-time Masters winner. How did you guys get together?
It was actually the Masters that brought us together. He was preparing for the original Masters in 2020, and he wanted a specific hybrid loft, a little bit higher, that he wanted to be able to get up in the air and that didn't have a lot of spin, so he could hold the greens. And then obviously that event got moved and became known now as the November Masters.
Right.
He ended up putting us into play. And really just loved the performance of our hybrid. And he came to us after that. He approached us and said, you guys, I'm really impressed with what you guys are as a company and how you serviced me for the Masters, and really love that club. And let's start working on other stuff, because his bag is kind of an ancient bag. And, you're talking clubs up to 15 years old, and he's very attached to these clubs. So we knew it was going to be a project to get him out of all of these old classic clubs that he's playing. But he knew that he needed an upgrade in technology. So it was kind of the perfect marriage, and we're still working on every little bit of his bag, because it's kind of just a fair game, open to try to get everything that we can. So we've had driver in the bag, we've had fairway wood in the bag, hybrid in the bag, irons in the bag, wedges in the bag. But we're really happy to have the legend, the ageless wonder Bernhard Langer on our staff. And we've had 16 wins now since we started this thing in 2018 on the Champions Tour. And that just runs the gamut of different guys. And and now Bernhard is 2 of those 16 wins.
Is there a club, John, in your repertoire that is more popular than the others? It started with the hybrids, but are there more hybrids on Tour Edge on the tour than other clubs?
It started out fairways and hybrids, Rich, and that's kind of what we've always been known for,
right.
The most. But like I said, we've been able to really grow that. And now I would say drivers right there with them. We have this week, 7 drivers in play. That's tied for, I think, the number 4 amount of drivers in play on the Champions Tour. And that's, again, all by choice. That's John Daly's playing our driver. We've got a few guys that I just can't name because they're not on staff with us. But,
right.
Scott McCarron, Tom Lehman has driver in play this week. And it's really just, like I said, it's all about performance. Nobody is on a driver contract with us. We get them on, like you said, like a fairway wood and a hybrid, and then everything else is best endeavors. We have to really go out there and make sure that the numbers are where they need to be. And Mike Weir is playing our driver this week. So yeah, 7 drivers in play, and then I would say we have about double that with fairway woods, and then another, good 10 to a dozen hybrids in play. But along with that, we have 4 different iron sets in play. John Daly's playing our irons by choice. Bernhard Langer's playing our irons. Ken Duke is playing our irons, and Tim Petrovic is playing our new C722 irons that we just launched. He's the first player to put those in play out there.
All right. On the driver, are they using the Pro 721 or the C or E 522?
Yeah, it's mostly gone over to C and E now, and it's a nice mixture between. Tom Lehman put the E driver in play this week. Scott McCarron's playing the C. So what that stands for is there's 2 different driver models. In fact, in 722 this year, there's 2 of everything. And we have found out you're either a C player, which stands for competition spec. So you're talking a little bit smaller footprints. You're talking deeper faces, a little bit more player preferred designs with, a lot more adjustability. And, you're going to be getting really low spin shots with this line. And then you've got the E, which stands for extreme. You're talking extreme MOI. So the driver we have is about 5,500 on the MOI rating scale, which is the highest that we know of. It's one of the top 2 highest MOI drivers in the marketplace. And so what MOI does is it's all about forgiveness and straightness. It's reduction of twisting at impact. So it's a very stable head that's going to keep you in the fairway.
Right.
So these are going to be a little bit higher launching, but they're still going to have, optimized spin for, a little bit slower swing speeds on these. So they're both tour worthy. As you can see, we have them both in play on tour, but it's kind of different strokes for different folks on exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, we want to talk a little bit more in depth about that because I want to talk to you about the difference between what the pros play and what you recommend for us amateurs that are out there. But let us take a quick break. We'll be back with John Claffey, Tour Edge, right after we talk about what are you thinking about for dinner tonight. They open at 4:30. Gotta be CJ's Italian Restaurant. They're located just across from Parker's on Mallory Street. Check out their monthly specials created by the local elementary schools, of which they get part of the proceeds. Also great for kids' birthday parties, but they are known for their deep dish pizza, and it is incredible. Their thin crust and cauliflower is also very good, but so are their appetizers, salads, sandwiches, pastas. Most of the food is made in the kitchen from scratch every morning, including their doughs, bread, sauces, and dressings. So check out CJ's Italian Restaurant at cjsitalianrestaurant.com.
Hello, this is Chris Hack, the men's golf coach at the University of Georgia, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Rich Stiles, we're on the phone with John Claffey with Tour Edge. And John, one of the questions prior to our break was, we know what the pros are playing. What of the new clubs that you have, the new series coming out, would you recommend for amateurs? And how do you determine which you would recommend?
Yeah, so that's kind of why we're asking that all important question this year is, are you an E or a C? And so that, again, that goes down the line from drivers, fairways, hybrids, and irons. And what we're trying to have you think about here is, what am I looking for out of my golf clubs? Am I looking for just maximum distance where I'm a faster swinger and I need lower spin that is going to maximize everything that I'm doing with a faster swing, or am I looking for more forgiveness?
Right.
And then further to help the amateur find the answer there, is we have this pretty innovative shaft system we call speed tested shafts, Rich. And so you can look at our different swing speeds that you're producing and find out, hey, this is what Tour Edge has kind of done some pre-fitting for you. And if you can figure out how fast you're swinging, you're going to see what we've done on a robot test, which we call TED, which stands for Tour Edge Development. That's our in-house swing robot.
I like TED.
We found out the best shaft for your swing speed. And, so it's really going to kind of help you in the right direction. And that being said, this is our new exotics line that we're talking about with 722. We also have a hot launch line called 522, which is designed to be the easiest golf clubs in the game. And so there's also two sides of that. And now you're getting into some serious game improvement designs, to the point where on the E side of things, the extreme game improvement, it is, we're talking way higher launches than you'll see with the exotics. So this stuff is designed to get the ball up as easy as possible to find a slice. And so we kind of have a golf club for every player, including those that are just coming to the game, which we're still getting a major influx of with this golf boom that's happening.
And one of the things you and I have talked about in the past, John, is all at a reasonable price.
Yeah, that's our tagline is pound for pound, nothing comes close. So we really mean that. We bring more performance, more technology, more innovation to the table than any other golf club maker. We've been doing this for 36 years now, believe it or not. And everything is hand built here in the United States at our Batavia, Illinois headquarters. We take a lot of pride in that. We also have golf's only lifetime warranty when it comes to golf clubs. We'll protect a club for life if any defects happen. So we kind of do things a little differently than the big boys in this industry. And it's what's made us, we're having 7 straight record years of sales. We're really showing up on these data tech reports where we're the number 4 selling metal wood in golf at off course in the United States. So a lot of people may not think of Tour Edge as one of the top selling clubs out there, but I can tell you that with our pound for pound system that we've got, with bringing more bang for your buck than anybody else, we are winning a lot of battles out there, because much of the time you're going to be getting, better performance or the same for something that costs up to 3 times as much.
Right.
We're really into this novel idea of having logical pricing.
Right. So getting back to the drivers and the hybrids and the fairways, so swing speed is a difference. Does handicap come into that in any way?
It does. And everybody kind of gets to their handicap from a different way. You could be a great putter and be terrible off the tee, but still be, a 10 handicap and vice versa. So there's no real telling how you score at the end of the day, but that's why fitting has become so important. We've become a big purveyor of custom fitting over the last few years. We've grown our custom fitting program by, I think 500%.
Right.
In the last 5 years. And we've got about 1,000 fitting locations that have our mobile fitting bags and this great 48-hour program where you'll have the club in 2 days' time after getting fit. So it's really important that you do go look at the small things: grip size, your shaft length, do you have the right loft? Are you getting, proper launch of the ball with optimized spin? So that's what all of our clubs are designed to do. But you got to kind of get dialed in by the professionals these days.
Yeah, and from a fairway, you offer a 3, a 5, and tell me the others.
Oh, Rich, and if you want to hear the craziness, we're probably the only golf club maker that is doing this anymore. But in the Hot Launch E522 line, we make a 3, a 5, a 7, a 9, and an 11 wood. So you don't hear that much these days.
No, what's the 11 wood replace?
Well, it's going to be, getting up to that, where your 5 iron is and your 6 iron. So it's a very, very high lofted fairway that is extremely easy to hit. It instills confidence in a lot of players. So we sell a ton of these because we're one of the only manufacturers that makes lofts that high these days.
Yeah, I've not heard many, or if any, offering an 11. John, give us the website so our listeners can go to it and check out all your new stuff.
Yeah, touredge.com. We've got some brand new stuff like we've been talking about, the Exotic 722 that is kind of setting the world on fire right now. A bunch of tour players are already into that. Only 2 weeks, 2 events into the champion season. And it's going to be another banner year for Tour Edge.
Well, John, I hope to see you next year at the PGA show and maybe prior to that. Always a pleasure to talk with you. And sorry about your snow, but hey, spring's somewhat close.
It feels like this should be the last one, but it's always great to talk to you, my friend.
All right, John Claffey with Tour Edge talking about their new clubs, all the success they've had on the Champions Tour. Always a pleasure to have him with us. And it's always a pleasure to have you with us as well. Thank you for joining us on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, heard every week on ESPNCoastal.com or wherever you listen to golf podcasts. 8 to 9, Saturday and Sunday, the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show with Rich Stiles. Go to back9boys.com for all things golf whenever you want it. We'll be back next.